Insane fights on paternity court.
You got low self-esteem.
Ladies, you guys want to hear the case?
Let's get some order. Mr. Wallace.
You sitting up here, you taking her side.
Come on.
You ain't even let me get a word in.
Stand up. Jerome, just give him a minute. Give him a minute.
Go out here.
Miss Austin is back with the same dilemma again. Yeah, if Mr. Wallace is the father of her child. Just so you know, she's doing it for the third time for the same man who chooses to stand at the podium with his side chick and blame baby mama for not being faithful. Sure, if you want to play like that, sir.
Ryan Wallace was still bouncing back from me and Kendrelyn. I had enrolled in school, but I never did go because I had got pregnant once again with Ronell. And she got pregnant with her baby, with her son. And as you can see now, once again, I'm pregnant again with my third baby.
Mr. Wallace stood persistent that he did not father the 9-month-old Ronell, but he said the same thing last time. Yada yada, I'm not the father, mother is pernicious. Let's take a quick look at how things went down back then.
She has about 6 boyfriends right now. You don't come on here and try to act like
Hold on,
you so
Mr.
perfect.
Wallace, you're not gonna dress a woman in this court that way. You better pipe yourself down.
Don't flip people off. You don't use profanity in my courtroom. You understand me?
No.
You want to go out of here?
Yeah.
Mr. Wallace, get out the court.
What are you gonna do about it?
Than I thought you
Let's
were.
go.
Get
We're going
out the courtroom, Mr. Wallace.
You saw how violent this man can be when things don't go his way. But anyway, back to the hearing. Things had shifted. Well, for the women here, but Daddy was on the same back and forth ride between the two. So the judge went on and asked the defendant his doubt.
She's very promiscuous. When we was together, I had installed, it was like spyware on her phone. They would duplicate her text messages and call log and send a copy to my email. For about the 5th, 6th time, I called her texting different men.
Well, where your proof at?
You saying that didn't happen?
Where your proof at?
All of the accusations were a little hard for the plaintiff to digest because all the things allegedly being blamed on the girl was actually his game. Like, come on, why stoop that low? And you can imagine how Miss Austin reacted to it.
We are going to speak to women respectfully in the courtroom. So you believe she was sleeping around?
If I'm dead, so why you keep on sleeping with me? Why? 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 I'm pregnant again. Why?
Yeah, why go for such a person, Mr. Honorable? Well, apparently, he had no explanation for it. All of this mess was because of him, and when the plaintiff pointed this out, it ticked the girlfriend off, and she went ballistic like this.
You got low self-esteem.
Ladies, you guys want to hear the case?
Let's get some order.
Yeesh, people, this is a courtroom, not your backyard. You can't just wrangle each other like that. But anyway, next up, it got revealed that baby mama was talking to other men, but she claimed that she didn't fool around. It was just harmless conversations, and she was doing it out of spite.
Trying to get back to Aunt Rangel for the things that he has done to me.
At the end of the day, you all can see now that 2 wrongs never make a right. They make more wrong. And then you were wrong for being pregnant and talking to other men and expecting him to then believe your child is his child automatically.
Yeah, preach, Judge. These kids need some good schooling. This is just a classic case of babies having babies. And while she was at it, newsflash, baby daddy thinks he can fool around, but his woman can't, so he was putting them through such turmoil.
It's because I moved in because of Rangel. Because of Rangel. Rangel left me to go be with Mr. Robert. He don't care. It's all about him, and he doesn't care, and I'm done. Like, what more can I put into this?
That's false.
Wow. What more can anyone do indeed to keep a man? Alas, Mr. Wallace had no sympathy for his baby mama. In his words, she was just putting on a show, which made the judge say, what were they thinking? Why are you with this guy anyway?
I see a young woman here that desperately is trying to have a relationship with somebody that
doesn't want me.
Miss
Everything
Austin,
she told you
I
was
don't
a lie.
even know if he doesn't, it's not that he don't want you or he don't want Miss Roberts. Mr. Wallace hasn't grown enough where he can be in a position to want anybody or to truly commit to anybody.
Even after that, Miss Austin wished that the guy at the podium was the baby daddy. More like she was sure. Well, was pretty brave, I'd say. And all the admiration she was getting rubbed Mr. Wallace really hard. And he went like this.
Mr. Wallace!
You sitting up here, you taking her
Come
side.
on!
You ain't even let me get a word in.
Stand up. Jerome, just give him a minute. Give him a minute.
Go out here.
Talk about going crazy. But screaming and yelling doesn't prove anything. and it hits the defendant after a while, so he was back in the courtroom to push his side. However, now it was time to push that envelope cover.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Wallace, you are Ronell's father.
Daughters against their own mother? Yep, promiscuous pasts and paternity voids can drive people to all desperate actions. And that's why Williams sisters are in paternity court, to get things even.
Tell me about the paternity issues.
It was this man who was supposedly had been my father, and we were all wanting to know, like his family, him, my aunt that raised me and Jasmine, we wanted the paternity test. We were all there and ready. She never showed up.
But Mommy at the podium refused to be portrayed as the villain by her own children. She straight up ruled out her daughters as wire pullers like herself. However, she was interrupted by her oldest, who told the court how she found that her alleged father was not her daddy, and her other sisters backed her up.
When I was about 17 years old, me and her had an argument, and she said, that's why he's not your father. Trying to hit it at a low point, always been something, always eating at me, not knowing who my father was, not knowing who my father was. I feel like at least if she was there, to try to take the place of my father, having a mother at least, maybe it wouldn't have bothered me so much.
Younger Williams told the court how they were neglected not only by their parents, but also by both sides of the family. This was not just it. Further, it got revealed that still different men came up and claimed to be their fathers, while her mother refuses to recognize them.
This is the saddest thing, Your Honor. After I had my son was 3 months. We go to the gas station. A man notices my mother, but she does not notice him. He calls out her name. Who are you? He's talking about some, so you don't know who I am. She's talking about some, I don't know. You talking about some, yes you do. She's talking about some, oh, Lisa, they're your daddy. How is you not gonna know this is my daddy when you look at him? But you tell, that's your daddy.
Well, Miss Liddell thought it was a good excuse. Nevertheless, plaintiffs were taking none of it. They straight up blamed their mother for the alienated treatment they had throughout their childhood. I mean, they had to move through 5 houses, and this had raised animosity between them.
Yeah, what would I
She
do
didn't
for
try.
you?
I have
What nothing I could do for y'all?
You didn't try.
Yes, sir. When I did try, when I did,
No, you didn't.
Wait a minute, y'all love me. When I can do something for y'all, then y'all always, then y'all stab me in the back.
Ladies,
Stab me in my
let's
back.
get some order, ladies.
Wow, such pain and bitterness. Their dynamic lacks very maternal warmth. And the biggest twinge was that Miss Liddell had no idea who their father might be. This means they can't even get anyone tested for paternity. And she had this explanation for it.
I did me. I ran the streets. Okay, you can keep your slab remarks. I was hoarse. I didn't care about nobody or nothing.
But can you help them figure this out? You say you don't know if James is their father.
Yes,
Do you
Your Honor.
know who are the other people that could possibly be their father?
I have a couple of people in mind. Like I said, I ran the streets, so I laid down with anybody.
Well, they had only one man for a paternity test in this hearing, James, the alleged father of the 3. However, Mommy wasn't rooting for anything, because she wasn't sure if Mr. Williams was the father of any of them, and neither now was he.
You believe you are these young girls' biological father. Do you believe that?
Deep in my heart, Your Honor, and I hate to say it, and it's hurting me to say it too, but no, I do not.
You don't act like it, so it shouldn't be hurting you.
The potential father testified that when he met the defendant, she was very fast, and he always had paternity doubt. Well, sir, if you had any, instead of ignoring them, you should have gone for a test, right? As all of his neglect had ruined these girls.
Never had that father to show you this is what love is. This is how a man's supposed to treat you. We never had that.
Mr. Williams is here and he knows he's been absent. How has it affected you specifically?
He don't even have no kind of relationship with me. Don't try. I'm reaching out to you. I'm the child in this case.
The judge could clearly see that the mother's wrong choices had messed these girls up, and they were not ready to give their mother any sympathy. And the defendant's words were just making things worse.
Whatever come out of my mouth is like a lot of them, even if I mean it.
Because it always is a lot.
Sometimes I just don't know how. I don't know how. Okay, I don't know how.
Let's get some order.
The broken family was at the mercy of the DNA result because no one was ready to cut each other any slack. With respect and love out of the equation, the only truth is what binds people. Let's get to that.
When it comes to Ms. Jasmine Williams, Mr. Williams, you are her father. When it comes to Ms. Lisa Williams, Mr. Williams, you are not her father.
The moment you step into the cheating revenge game, you and your child lose. This lesson is hard to learn sometimes, and a paternity court is often a place for it. And Miss Funzy is up for such an encounter with Judge Lake.
My family's on the line. I love Jordan. We've been dating going on 7 years. Been dating since the 10th grade. And the denying that he has towards my 1-month-old child, Joaquin, which we play in the house together, is causing problems with our relationship.
Mr. Irving told the court he found out about the cheating part just weeks before the pregnancy, and he was sure that the child wasn't his. The plaintiff found such remarks very cold, but he responded like this.
She did that to herself.
You say she did it to herself?
She cheated.
How did you find out she cheated?
One day I couldn't sleep, so here it is 4 in the morning. I seen her sleeping and her phone was right beside her. Some told me she spent the night at her friend's house with this other guy.
She always going out with her friends. He could never
He go out with his friends too also. Yes, he do. Yes, he do.
After this, Judge stepped out. It turns out that baby mama used her friend's place for her illicit affair, though she testified doing it to get back at the defendant. But things were not that simple.
Mr. Irvin had never looked at the phone. If something didn't tell him, would you have told him about the cheating?
Yes, I was gonna come clean to him at the right time.
When was the right time?
Because he came to me when he had told me he cheated, and I would feel like I should come to him because I cheated.
Quite a tit for tat they had going. But guess what? There's a baby at stake now. And the worst part was that Miss Funzy ruined her own pregnancy report. No, we're not kidding. Watch for yourself.
She scribbled over it and wrote what she wanted on the paperwork.
What was on the line that talked about how many weeks along?
I couldn't tell because she wrote over it.
What was written over it?
Just like a scribble.
A scribble of what?
I couldn't tell what number it was.
So you can't even read what was written over it?
No, ma'am.
I had doubts like why I can't understand the rights.
Still, the guy at the podium went to the length of stepping up for the child. He was there for the whole pregnancy and even signed the birth certificate. Though we admire him, still not a good decision.
I truly understand your sentiment and that it comes from a good place. You do understand that that's a bad decision when you have paternity doubt.
If you got doubt, don't sign that birth certificate because whether that's your child or not, you're gonna have, that's acknowledging, hey, I'm gonna be there for this child for 18 years. That's my child.
Yes, it is.
So what about the other guy? Was he ready to fill in the daddy box? No, not at all. He had made a statement sent to the court, and this statement picked some messy skeletons in the closet.
He told me about the things that was going on between her and Jordan. First time me and her had sex, she came over and saw me. We had sex in Jordan's car.
That's a lie.
Did use protection.
Fake page.
You said
Jordan, that's a lie. You know that.
Hold on, finish the statement.
Mine ain't lying.
Jordan.
Why is you lying to me?
Jordan, I'm not lying to you.
Man, if this not my baby, I'm through with this relationship.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Miss Funzy ruled this statement as false, but the expression reflected that there was some truth to it. The defendant, on the other hand, went off the wall listening to them. And I mean, come on, would you blame the guy?
I worked at a school. I let her use my daddy car every day. My daddy just died. And I let you keep my car every day while I go to work. And this what you did?
Jordan.
Why is you lying to me?
Jordan, I'm not lying to you.
Next, the judge counted back the birth of the child, which made things even harder. Now it was time to get to the truth. So when the judge implored the baby mama to confess, she testified about trying to fool Mr. Irving and his family. And that bugged the judge hard.
Tit for tat, sexual revenge, we don't win that game. And we do this tit for tat thing and we lose because we end up pregnant. And this can't all be for revenge. I mean, we can't be here with a 1-month-old baby, beautiful, innocent baby whose paternity is in question. Was the revenge worth this?
No.
Wow, it was quite painful to watch such a revelation. But the truth had to come out. We did feel bad for the baby and his mama. But nonetheless, when you try to fight fire with fire, you're only gonna get burned. Let's just get to that result.
The biological father is Winfield.
I knew it, I told you. I knew it wasn't his baby. When
hold
mama
on.
went to the hospital and seen that baby, she knew it. A mother know they child. A mother know they child. My mama went to the hospital when she had that baby and said, that is not my son's child.
Life turned upside down when Mr. Bell dropped a bombshell after 18 years, asserting that Miss Other is not his biological daughter. Determined to establish her parentage, she brought her father to court for a compact proof of her lineage. However, the defendant countered with lunatic allegations that Miss Mary had bamboozled him.
Mr. Bell, you say you're sorry this hurts Miss Others, but you may not be
her father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You state that the plaintiff's mother fraudulently claimed you fathered another one of her children, and now you believe she's lying again.
Yes, Your Honor.
So the trial had a dramatic start. It turned out that mother has already tried to trap him in paternity mess, and when he believed her, it turned out the baby was not his. I must say, if that's the case, then the defendant is on point.
My daughter was about 2 years old, and she wound up pregnant. So, of course, I'm being excited. When the baby is finally born, my sister and I go by to see my daughter and the new baby. There's a doorbell. She never answered it. And I'm like, are you going to answer the door? And she was like, well, you know, no, I'm not going to answer it. Long story short, this other gentleman comes in saying that he was the father, and she's also telling me that I'm the father as well.
Dramatically, it was revealed that he doubts paternity and he wants a DNA test. But the young girl revealed that even for 18 years, he did not deny, but he still has not been there for her. So he's nothing but a deadbeat father after all.
I was at McDonald's and he met me up at McDonald's. That's when he said he wants a paternity test. And I agreed to it, but it never happened.
So wait, you up at McDonald's when you just up there like a normal teenager, and here comes your father, and he drives up to you or comes sees you and says, hey, I just want a paternity test?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I was really hurt, but at the end of the day, he hasn't been there for me.
However, when the judge asked the supposed father about the false incident played by him, he put on a clown mask and pretended as if he'd just lost his memory at that moment. But someone please remind him, Judge Lake is in front of him.
Mr. Bell, if you forget a fact like that, your credibility is shot.
That wasn't a topic of conversation when I met her at McDonald's. When we did talk about it, it was not at McDonald's. We all decided that it was going to happen.
You were together before, and you felt like it was a family conversation.
To clear things up, Miss Mary stepped up to the podium and alleged that Mr. Bell was already aware that there was a possibility of the other guy being the father. But he didn't let those statements approach him like this.
He also knew that there was a possibility that there was another man involved.
That is not true.
Yes, it is,
That is
Your
not
Honor.
true.
When both men were at the house after the baby was born, it was no big thing to you because you had already told both of them.
I told both of them, and that's why I got a paternity test done. Because I wasn't.
Okay, so when Judge Lauren asked the granny about what type of relationship she had with Miss Tiana, it revealed that she has no relationship with her. Further, she made some serious allegations against Miss Mary, but Mommy defended them like that.
All I know is that I tried to bond with the baby, with the little boy, when I found out that he wasn't my grandson. I was very devastated.
Her mother could be lying again.
Yes. Most definitely. Because
I'm
she
not lying,
is a
Your
liar.
Honor. I'm not lying.
What about 4 kids, 4 baby daddy?
That doesn't make me a bad person.
I didn't say you were bad, I said you were a liar.
The defendant revealed that she went to see her and the bombshell exploded on him that her daughter was pregnant. And she approached him for money after having a baby. But the drama flares up when Mr. Bell claims that Miss Other called her and said her daughter is just using him.
She came to my job with my grandbaby and asked me for more money. I gave her the money. Her mother calls me and said, why did you give her money? She's doing nothing but using you for your money.
That's not true, Your Honor.
If you
That's
were
not true.
You're lying.
That is not true.
Lie.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Now she's following in her mother's footsteps.
As it is manifest that a child's upbringing is the most basic and vehement right, in this episode, we can see that this young woman has no respect for her elders. And all of this might be due to the toxic situation she's been in. So whatever happened in their trial, Judge Lauren concluded it like that.
You have no respect for your elders. In my world, back in the day, what we call it is home training. I know maybe you are disappointed, maybe they haven't treated you the way you think they should have treated you and your daughter. When your daughter stands and speaks to an older woman like she does, and you don't correct her, that's wrong.
However, their to and fro allegations were all over and made things more complicated for the girl. And the parents were busy in their dispute, so the last hope to get closure was to reveal whatever was hiding in the DNA envelope. So let's find that out.
In the case of Others versus Bell, as it pertains to 18-year-old Tiana, Mr. Bell, you are not.
I knew it!
Tiana's father.
Thank you! I knew it! I told you! He's a liar! No, he's a liar!
And now you know who the daddy is.
Mr. Bosley and his mom are pissed at the defendant, Miss Jackson. After being cheated on multiple times, there was no way he was going to accept Miss Jackson's son. But things got very messy very quickly.
Ms. Bosley, you and your son have petitioned the court for a DNA test because you are certain he did not father the defendant's 3-month-old son, Maverick, and there are 2 other possible fathers. Ms. Jackson, you admit to cheating with another man, but claim to be certain that Mr. Bosley is Maverick's biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So Ms. Jackson had already admitted to cheating on Mr. Bosley, but she still insisted that he was the father to her 3-month-old son. And every time you see the plaintiff standing next to his mom, you already know how heated things will get.
I feel like my son made a terrible decision by signing a birth certificate. I don't want my son to have to go through life wondering if this is his child or not.
Mr. Bosley, you signed a birth certificate, even though you had doubts?
I did sign the birth certificate. Not saying it wasn't the right thing, it was stupid.
Bingo! Like we said, moms always heat up the courtroom, whichever side of the stand they're on. Mr. Bosley's mom, Mrs. Bosley, was actually the one who opened the case against Ms. Jackson. According to her, Mr. Bosley wasn't supposed to sign the baby's birth certificate, but guess what? He already did. Mr. Bosley recognized that he wasn't supposed to sign the birth certificate that fast, and he was in court to prove it.
In the beginning, we were working together, and he was starting off like, oh, I love you. Do you believe in love at first sight? And then the next day we was talking, and then we had sex. And then he was talking about, you know, the kids and all of that. And then I asked for a break because we were moving too fast. I already said that we was moving too fast at the beginning.
Oh, well, would you look at that? Mr. Bosley was the one who initiated the relationship. And to make matters worse, he was moving at light speed. With talk of love at first sight and making babies, Ms. Jackson got scared. Who wouldn't? She actually decided to take a break from Mr. Bosley since things were moving way too fast for her.
You do sleep with him?
Yes, I had my own place at that time, and I moved him in. Then that's when the cheating, I made my mistake of that 2 weeks of me not knowing if this is real or not.
Ms. Jackson may have tried to exit their relationship quickly, but she just couldn't match up with Mr. Bosley's speed. They'd known each other for only 2 weeks before Ms. Jackson invited Mr. Bosley to move in with her. These weren't baby steps, folks. They were steps to a baby.
What happened? You tell me, because I can't get it out of Mr. Bosley.
I had gave oral sex to this person.
What man will believe that she only gave you oral sex?
This is exactly why y'all don't have no business, young, running around here using sex like it's like an extracurricular act.
Mr. Bosley and Miss Jackson weren't actually a couple when they decided to move in together. But Mr. Bosley was still protective of Miss Jackson, even though he admitted not being in a relationship at the time. So when she talked to a random guy, he was peeking out of windows and trying to listen through doors to figure out what was going on. And before he could even say what he found out, Miss Jackson dropped the news like a bomb. She was giving oral sex to this random guy.
So Miss Jackson, when you found out you were pregnant, you told Mr. Bosley?
Yes, Your Honor. And then he was like, oh, wow, you are. You know, he was excited about the situation.
And y'all had known each other all of 2 months then, and y'all was excited?
It wasn't
2 months, it was a month.
It was a month?
Yep.
No, I wasn't excited. The 2 guys she cheated on me with, those was the guys that we worked together with.
Oh, so all of you all co-workers?
Yes, we all was co-workers.
This case must have been a clown car because people just kept popping out. So within just a month of knowing each other, Ms. Jackson revealed to Mr. Bosley that she was pregnant. According to her, he was super excited when he heard the news. But according to him, well, you already know how that goes. He also mentioned that the 2 men that Ms. Bosley cheated on him with were actually their CO workers. That must have been a pretty busy workplace.
Your Honor, I only cheated on him once. And that's with the person that was at work. But I did have sex with one other person that was there at the job. And that was the person that came to the house. The other person that I didn't have oral sex or
This is a mess. This is a mess.
Yeah.
Miss Jackson wasn't having it though. She denied having cheated with 2 guys. But in the same sentence, she admitted to having cheated on Mr. Bosley with 2 guys. Confused? I know. So are we. Judge Lake thinks that this is a mess. And who can disagree? She might have dug her own grave with one fumbled testimony.
It just adds up that she has slept with 3 men on her job. There should be no young woman out here sleeping with 3 men at her job. And that's why I'm like, what's going on here?
It's getting hot in the courtroom. It's rare to see Judge Lake get this mad at someone, but you can totally understand where she's coming from. Sleeping with 3 men isn't too crazy, but having sex with 3 men that you work with is downright insane. You can see the shame slowly creep in for Miss Jackson.
If you have slept with 2 co-workers, given oral sex to one, while you supposedly getting to know Mr. Bosley, no, it's not so far-fetched that people would also assume that you may have slept with that person or maybe even another person. Because there is no reason a beautiful young girl like yourself.
Cue the waterworks. After a stern lecture from Judge Lake, Ms. Jackson bursts into tears. The judge just can't figure out why a young, beautiful woman would be so promiscuous with her own co-workers. She also gave a few words to both Ms. Jackson and Mr. Bosley for messing around and getting kids at such a young age.
Actually, how the situation went about, I was in her phone one day. I had seen the dude, and I said, he looked just like my son. I'm like, what? Like,
Your Honor, he sent me that picture, and immediately, just in all honesty, I was like, that's not your son.
And Mom, once you got that picture, you believe this other man is the father.
Things were only getting worse for Miss Jackson. Mr. Bosley revealed a picture of one of their co-workers side by side with a picture of Miss Jackson's son. On top of that, he also showed some provocative text messages between Miss Jackson and that co-worker. And oh boy, did those light up the courtroom.
What's your relationship with Miss Jackson?
We met through a friend, and then we started talking through social media.
Was Miss Jackson interested in a sexual relationship with you?
Yes, Your Honor, she was trying to have sex.
So do you believe you are Maverick's biological father?
No, I don't. I just came here to prove that I'm not.
That's a lot to unpack. So when the co-worker in question, Mr. Green, was welcomed into the courtroom, his testimony pretty much aligned with everything we knew so far. He had been sexually involved with Ms. Jackson. Mr. Bosley was also given some harsh words by his mother for his irresponsibility. It was all coming to a boil, and it was finally time to admit if one or neither of the 2 men were the father.
The biological father is Mr. Bosley. Your son.
Okay.
Your biological son.
Well, it's off my chest. That's all I came here for. That's all I wanted.
We've got another mom collaboration on our hands. Both the plaintiff and the defendant are accompanied by their mothers, and the guy's mom is about to find out if she's a grandma to the defendant's 1-month-old daughter.
Mr. Hodges, you and your mom opened your case today because you both say the defendant is a liar and a cheater. Ms. Willard, you too are here with your mother, and the 2 of you testify that you are 1,000% sure Mr. Hodges fathered your daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So Mr. Hodges doesn't think that Ms. Willard's daughter is his, and neither does his mom. On the other side of the aisle, Ms. Willard is positive that Mr. Hodges is her daughter's father. And you guessed it, so does her mom.
Cheated on me, and I caught her with multiple guys. She had one hidden in the room, and whenever we first got together, she said that she would never hurt me or cheat on me. She would be truthful.
Wow, that got heated so fast you would swear there was a blowtorch in the courtroom. Mr. Hodges claims that Ms. Willard is a liar and a cheater, and apparently he's caught her multiple times with different men.
I had a guy over at my house, yes. He was visiting because he was a childhood friend. I didn't tell him because I knew he'd flip out because I know how he is.
Oh, you met her after she had a one-night stand with another guy, and then she cried on your shoulder. And then you and she got together.
Yes, Your Honor.
So Ms. Willard had her defense locked and loaded, so when the judge asked her to give her testimony, she was ready! According to her, the guy she hid from Mr. Hodges was actually her childhood friend, and the only reason she hid him was because she knew how angry Mr. Hodges would get. But according to Mr. Hodges, Ms. Willard is a serial liar. So will her testimony hold up against Mr. Hodges' accusations?
You are the one who pushed your son to open this case.
Yes, Your Honor.
And why did you do that?
Because I knew that she had been cheating on him. He had caught her with another guy that she said was a friend, but yet he was hidden in her house when my son got there.
You found him hiding in the house?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hiding in the house where?
In her mother's bedroom.
Yup! The couple was engaged when all this drama was unraveling. Mr. Hodges' mom pressured her son to open the case against Miss Willard because she knew that Ms. Willard was cheating on Mr. Hodges. But were her motherly instincts right or wrong? They seem to be right so far, since Ms. Willard had already admitted to hiding her childhood friend in her mom's room. And get this, her mom was in on it too. Ms. Willard's mom chimed in on all the action, stating that the only reason she helped hide the guy was that she knew that Mr. Hodges had a really bad temper. But hey, someone with a monk's temperament would flip out too if that happened to him.
Honor, she was already married when they got engaged that my son didn't know about.
So you were engaged to Mr. Hodges, but you were married to another guy at the time?
Yes, Your Honor.
I feel like he has been deceived and took advantage of.
What was your first impression when you met Ms. Willard? What did you think?
I thought she was sneaky.
And the house of cards came crumbling down. After Mrs. Hodges' testimony, Ms. Willard was now cemented as the villain of the story. Hiding someone she was allegedly cheating with in her house was bad enough, but getting engaged to Mr. Hodges while she was still married? That's just diabolical!
Is Lillian your only child?
No, Your Honor.
She hid that from us too, at first.
Back it up. Back it up. So she hid that she had a husband before she met you, and you were engaged to her when she really already had a husband. She hid that she had had a child, and she also hid a man in her mother's house when you came over.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Willard must be great at hide and seek because she was hiding relationship deal breakers like a pro. Things were only getting worse for Ms. Willard and her mom, and the longer the case went on, the more guilty she looked.
She called me and she said that she was 8 months pregnant and...
8 months?
Yes,
Yeah.
Later on down the road, I'm sitting there texting her every day, asking about the baby, seeing if the doctor's appointments are going well and everything. Come find out whenever we called her OBG to see when her next appointment was, they said it was her checkup for the baby.
Checkup?
Yes, ma'am.
How does one person have so much to hide? Ms. Willard managed to hide the fact that she had been pregnant and had given birth to baby Lily from someone who could potentially be the baby's father.
May 27th, Ms. Hodges writes to Ms. Willard, "How's the baby doing?" Ms. Willard says she's okay, her lungs aren't fully developed right now. And then you write, "And when is she due?" That was on May 27th at 8:25 a.m. And Lillian was born on what day?
May the 23rd.
The court's reaction was enough to say it all. It wasn't hearsay anymore, and Ms. Willard had been caught red-handed yet again in a lie huge enough to break any relationship apart. Lying about the baby being born was so unnecessary, but she did it anyway. The proof was in the pudding, and boy, oh boy, were we eating that pudding up.
But I want to know why. Why are you lying? What was the lie about? Was it because you wanted to be with the other guy, so you didn't want Mr. Hodges up there?
No, that's not why.
Your Honor, she wanted to do a DNA test on the other guy first.
Just to make sure.
So wait, hold on now. Now that's another lie you just told right here.
At this point, Ms. Willard had weaved so many lies up that she'd entangled herself. She might have tripped up when she lied to Judge Lake about speaking to the other guy, about her baby, and the possibility that he might be the father. If Ms. Willard was Pinocchio, her nose definitely wouldn't fit in the courtroom.
Did you tell the other guy, could he possibly be the biological father, and you said no?
I never told him that. He wanted a DNA test, so I was gonna give him one. And then we found out he was the dad, and he was like, well, don't worry about it, because now I know.
How'd you find out he was the dad?
Because
We're here in this courtroom to find out.
Because the way that she looks
just like him.
This was a mess! Ms. Willard was crying, and Mr. Hodges was clearly lost in thought. There had been enough drama between these two young adults for 2 lifetimes, and it was finally time for some peace and calm. And at that point, the only thing that could bring the peace they so desperately needed was the DNA test results. Let's hear it!
Mr. Hodges, you are the father. We have the answer we needed. And it was actually the answer all of you wanted. You okay, honey?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I want to meet with you both in my chambers. Knowledge is power, right? And in order for you to be able to teach Lillian the things you need to teach her, you have to be willing to do the same.
This case is so crazy, it might as well be a joke. And don't worry, you'll get that reference soon enough. Ms. Boyd was furious at Mr. Henderson for denying their 27-year-old daughter and causing emotional distress to both Ms. Boyd and her daughter.
Ms. Boyd, you say the defendant's paternity denial destroyed your daughter's childhood and has caused emotional distress. To prove that Mr. Henderson is Regina's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Henderson, you say there is no need for a DNA test because it is impossible that you are Regina's dad.
Yes, Your Honor.
It's worth noting that the child in question, Regina Wilson, is 27 years old. That means if Mr. Henderson is really Ms. Wilson's father, he has been absent from her life for nearly 3 decades. That's terrible any way you look at it.
Well, Your Honor, I met Ruben, and he used to come by my house like for 2 years. Basically that, you know, I could really get out often to see him.
And so this started when you were younger?
Yes.
And he was in pursuit of you. He made it known that he wanted to get to know you, date you, and he would come by your house.
That's where I thought, Your Honor, yes.
Like many, many men that had come before him and after him, Mr. Henderson would say anything to get in Miss Boyd's pants. So he wooed her, charmed her, and lied to her until he had accomplished his ultimate goal, to sleep with her. But as is often the case, that one night of pleasure was the door to a whole world of problems.
So what happened that night, Miss Boyd? What happened that night?
It wasn't even that night. It was in the daytime because I'm not allowed to be outside at night. So anyway, he took me in, I guess, I don't know whose room it was, but we did it, and majority it happened so fast, I didn't even think it could have been his baby.
That's what I'm talking about now. You told the truth right there.
But hold on, Mr. Henderson, didn't nobody say it gotta be long?
Okay.
Interesting. Thanks to a no-holds-barred testimony from Miss Boyd, we got a few more details about this relationship than we had bargained for. So Mr. Henderson and Miss Boyd got down and dirty once, many years ago. But according to both of them, it was over before it had even started. They finally agreed on something.
We didn't have sex. She came into the room, and when she took off her clothes, I said, man, not now. Not now. I was too blitzed. I was high. She took off her clothes, and then when I took off my clothes, that was it. It was over.
And how do you know that if you were admittedly under the influence?
A time I got on top of her, it happened.
Just that fast.
Just that fast.
Things just took a surprising turn. So apparently Mr. Henderson denies ever having sex with Miss Boyd. He sounds very convincing, but hey, it was 27 years ago. He probably forgot the details. And if it was as quick as Miss Boyd put it, his mind probably just blocked it out to protect his self-esteem.
At the point you find out you're pregnant, take me to that moment, Miss Boyd.
Okay, first of all, I didn't think it was his baby because I was with somebody else at the time. So when I did find out I was pregnant, that's why I didn't think it was his. That's what I mean by I wasn't experienced, because it happened so fast, I didn't know I could have been pregnant by him.
So Ms. Boyd just admitted that at the time she was intimate with Mr. Henderson, she was also seeing another man. When asked if she used protection, she said no, and we know what that means. This just got a lot more interesting.
Okay, well, down from the apartments, we got mailbox all in one spot.
Okay.
So I'm walking down there with her in the stroller.
With Regina in the stroller.
Right.
And what happened?
And he walks up to me and told me something, is that my baby? And I told him, no, it wasn't his baby. And then he like, well, can we take it to my mom? So I told him, go ahead, it ain't your baby. So he took her in there and came back to me and said that his mama said that's his baby.
Did that happen, Mr. Henderson?
That's what you said now.
No! The confusion in this courtroom is insane. Did Mr. Henderson want the child to be his or not? Was the other man Ms. Wilson's father or not? At this point, we had more questions than answers, and we were desperately looking for some clarity. But what we got instead was borderline evil.
Mr. Henderson contacted me on Facebook saying, I'm your daddy. And then I'm like, is he trying to talk to me? Because he had his cat daddy blue suit on, and I'm like, oh, okay. My mom was in the room at that moment, so I asked her about Mr. Henderson. She said she forgot all about Mr. Henderson. Me and Mr. Henderson exchanged numbers. I go over to his house and spend time with him, trying to build a relationship.
Yeah, you heard that right. Mr. Henderson literally got a hold of Ms. Wilson on social media and texted her that he was her father, unprovoked. From there, the two went on to bond, exchange numbers, and even meet at Mr. Henderson's house. But according to Ms. Wilson, she'd never heard from him since. But what Mr. Henderson had to say about that situation was absolutely insane.
I was going down my Facebook page and I see Renee's name. Her daughter's name was Regina. I said, let me, just joking. Hey, I'm your dad.
Oh, come on, you were that.
I said, I said, I'm your dad.
Mr. Henderson has a nasty habit of finding ladies on Facebook and telling them that he's their father, as a joke. Now that's one twisted sense of humor. With the whole court against him in Jugda Lake, well, judging him, Mr. Henderson was drowning in shame.
What kind of joke is that?
I was joking around with her. Oh, that's Facebook. I joke around.
Why would you joke around with a young woman 20 years younger than you who should be a child in your eyes? Why would you joke around with her? What's funny about that?
I joke around with a lot of people.
Oh, really?
Yes, I do.
So have you ever said, I'm your daddy to anybody else?
Yes.
So you just go around telling young women, I'm your daddy?
Yes, even though I ain't been intimate with them. I just,
For what?
Just out of entertainment.
Now this case had one major revelation. Mr. Henderson was not the kind-hearted, sweet-talking gentleman that we met at the start. And if he is Ms. Wilson's father, then boy, does he have a lot of catching up to do. It's time for the DNA test results, and with everything at stake here, nobody is smiling.
Are her father.
I want to say, I want to apologize to him because he did try to tell me in the beginning, but I just hope you really do step up in her life because she really needs him.
I will.
Ms. Bryson brought her ex-boyfriend, Mr. McCarroll, to court to prove that he is the biological father of her 18-month-old son, Zylan McCarroll. While she admits to being intimate with another man, she is certain Mr. McCarroll is the father. Mr. McCarroll is skeptical and wants the child's name changed if he's not the father.
Ms. Bryson, what is the nature of your relationship? You're separated?
Yes, ma'am. We're currently separated.
Are you working to get it back on track? Where are you all at in this?
We're not working on getting anything back in track because Mr. McCarroll, he has way and he wants me to be a like he is, and I'm not that type of person.
Mr. McCarroll, you want her to be a like you are?
Mr. McCarroll expressed regret for not bettering their situation through work and school. He cited conflicts with Bryson, like not being able to read or talk to his mother. Bryson accused him of infidelity when he didn't answer her call and implicated his best friend in the alleged cheating.
As you can imagine, that is a very interesting book. She upstairs with the baby. I'm downstairs because I'm trying to read. She come downstairs huffing and puffing. I've been downstairs too long. I'm too quiet. I'm reading the book. What you want me to do, man?
The reason I came downstairs, I heard him on the phone with a girl that he had currently slept with.
Bryson shared that Mr. McCarroll would communicate with another woman about their personal matters. She expressed feeling undermined by him. When she got pregnant with Zylan, they were separated and he was with another woman. Despite being with someone else, he would still make advances towards her. She deeply loved him and wanted all her kids to be his.
Your Honor, I braided his hair. I asked the guy that I was in a relationship with, could I do his hair? He said yes. He came over and was flirting on me, touching on me. Every time we speak on the phone, I try to call and let him talk to the kid. Every time that we speak on the phone, he always flirts. I never, ever cheated on him when we were together, ever.
You just cheat on other people with him?
Yes.
Bryson asserts that Mr. McCarroll portrays her as the guilty party, though he is the one who cheats. While she has cheated in the past, it was with him because of her deep love for him. Upon getting pregnant, she ended things with another man to avoid causing him pain. Bryson's dream was to have a family with Mr. McCarroll.
I wanted to have a family with him. I wanted to get married to him. Like I said, I've been with him since I was 18. I love him. Any man I ever talked to know that I love him, okay? I wanted to have a son. I wanted to get married. He didn't want to give it to me. He didn't want to settle down. And I got it. And obviously ain't no man gonna be included in it because I haven't tried to even get into a relationship because I know I feel hung over him.
Bryson, after initially testing negative for pregnancy at a doctor's visit, later found herself pregnant. Within that time frame, she was intimate with Mr. McCarroll, who was seeing another woman. Despite the rendezvous, he later claimed he couldn't recall the encounter. Was it just an evil lie?
Mr. McCarroll,
yes,
do you remember having sex with Miss Bryson on the 28th?
No, ma'am. We were having sex around that time, but on the 28th specifically, I can't say that. She might have been with that guy then. I have no idea.
The truth is, you all were separated at that time. You had another girlfriend you were dealing with?
Yes, Your Honor, yes.
Bryson believes Mr. McCarroll is the father of her son, Zylan, because he resembles her daughter and her 6-week-old child, whom she asserts is also by McCarroll. However, McCarroll doubts the paternity of both children. Despite these doubts, he's been present in Zylan's life, even cutting the umbilical cord and giving Zylan his surname.
When it comes to 18-month-old Zylan McCarroll, it has been determined by this court, Mr. McCarroll, you are not the father.
Man, case closed. I ain't got no more to say. Say no more.
Miss Bauman brings her daughter Kalina to court to mend their relationship. After years of deceit, Miss Bauman now claims that Kalina's biological father is the late Mr. James Stewart. However, Kalina doubts her mother's assertion. Mr. Stewart's son is also present, and he disputes the claim, wanting to protect his deceased father's reputation.
Why are these results so important for you today?
Over the years, I have lied to my daughter, and for the past 4 years, it's become very hard on our relationship. I used to be real close to her, and now it feels like I've literally tore it completely apart. And I need to prove to her that her father is James Stewart.
Kalina struggles with her relationship with her mother, uncertain about her mother's honesty regarding her life. For years, she believed Mr. Watson was her biological father. However, just before high school, she learned he wasn't while being forcibly separated from her mother and made to live with Mr. Watson.
I found out during the summer, I was forced to be taken out of my mother's house and go to his house where I had no contact with my mother. And then when I finally was able to go back around to my mother, she told me that he might not be my father and that James Stewart might be my father.
During a pivotal moment in Kalina's life, she discovered through a paternity test that Mr. Watson was not her biological father. This revelation shattered her trust, leading to feelings of betrayal and confusion about her mother's 16-year deception. This strained their relationship, with Kalina distancing herself from her mother for a significant period.
I happened to go to work one day, and Mr. Watson had recently got married. So he literally walked up in my house, and yes, he did come in there and take her. He told me, since you want to sit up here and say this ain't my daughter, prove it. I turned around and I went downtown and I requested a paternity test. The results came back, and I sat there and I told her, I said, you know, I didn't do this to hurt you.
Kalina grapples with trust issues stemming from years of deceit by her mother regarding her paternity. Judge Lake discerns that Kalina's skepticism isn't solely rooted in the revelation about Mr. Watson, but also from an overarching doubt about her mother's credibility. Kalina's sentiment suggests that there could be more secrets lurking, further shaking her sense of identity.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes, Your Honor.
When you heard about Miss Bowman, did you believe that you all shared a biological father?
No, Your Honor.
You didn't?
No, I didn't.
Explain.
My father has had numerous of women say that their children was his, and this came to find out that it wasn't true.
Judge Lake is probing the timeliness to determine the veracity of Miss Bauman's claim. While Miss Bauman insists she was working with Mr. Stewart's father around the time Kalina was conceived, Mr. Stewart counters that his father had already left the job by early 1994, a year before Kalina's conception. This discrepancy casts doubt on Miss Bauman's assertions.
That's actually a lie
94.
because he actually stopped working at that restaurant in February of '95. He would come in, do his shift or whatever. Then there were times that he wouldn't come in because he was a manager. He had me, I was right up under him as an assistant manager.
In court, Lillian asserts her son is Kalina's father, referencing a letter from Kalina's mother. Lillian has cared for Kalina most of her life, emphasizing her unwavering commitment. However, a twist arises when a new letter suggests James Stewart isn't the father.
Did you put this letter in Miss Watson's mailbox, Miss Bowman?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
And the letter,
and
too.
I did it because at the time, Mr. Watson, when I got back in a relationship with him, we sat there, we talked and everything. It was all discussed out.
But wait, what do you mean it was discussed?
It was discussed that Kalina was his daughter.
Angela admits she fabricated a letter claiming James Stewart was Kalina's father, leaving everyone shocked. Lillian and James are deeply upset, stating Angela has misled many regarding Kalina's paternity, which has significantly impacted the child's life. Where will these evil lies lead the case?
It has been determined by this court that James Stewart and Kalina Bowman are related.
Miss Brown believes her cousin, Mr. Travis, is being deceived by Miss McNair. She asserts that he's been misled into signing the birth certificate of Mariah, Miss McNair's 22-month-old daughter, doubting he's the biological father. Mr. Travis acknowledges his love for Mariah but expresses doubt about his paternity.
Your Honor, Mariah means the world to me. She's everything to me. She's my heart, she's my all. And if she's my baby, I want to be her father and be there for the man that I'm supposed to be.
So you love this baby?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Travis?
Yes,
and you are truly torn
yes,
because while you love this baby and devoted to Mariah, you have some doubts.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Brown has submitted a video to Judge Lake to substantiate her claims about Miss McNair's alleged infidelity. The video supposedly captures Miss McNair frequently getting picked up and dropped off by various men. From Miss Brown's vantage point, she is able to closely observe these activities, leading her to believe in Miss McNair's unfaithfulness.
While Mr. Travis was away, you weren't dating
ma'am.
or sexually active with anybody else?
No, ma'am, I was
That's
not.
a lie.
Your Honor, she actually told me she had a friend guy she was talking to, and it was just
But we wasn't sexually active, though. We was not sexually
he's
active.
dropping you off at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and you claim you just getting out of work. Like,
And
what you
why
doing?
only men? Why not a friend girl? Why only men?
Miss McNair confronts Miss Brown about her perceived interference in her personal life, questioning why Miss Brown is concerned about her interactions with men. Miss Brown counters, implying that Miss McNair has multiple male visitors, especially late at night. This raises suspicions about the nature of these visits.
Yes.
So, Mr. Travis, what was the nature of your relationship? Were you all committed?
We were.
You were?
Yes, Your Honor.
Boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
Serious relationship?
Yes, Your
So
Honor.
while you were out of town or away, Miss McNair, you were expected to be faithful?
I was, Your Honor. I had friends, but it was nothing sexually active.
Judge Lake presses Miss McNair on her late-night interactions, specifically questioning why they always involve men and not just female friends. Miss McNair asserts that she has both male and female friends. In response to the claim of late-night visits, Miss McNair adamantly denies these allegations, labeling Miss Brown as a liar.
Baby, do you have something that you got going on or something?
You're trying to put this child on my cousin when that's not his child.
She's his. Was you there when we was conceiving her?
No.
Okay, then
Your
how would
Honor,
she know?
you have children?
Oh, okay.
I actually do.
How many months do you supposed to be pregnant?
Well, this is what we were about to get into. I know that. And you submitted a calendar to the court because you say the timeline is off.
Miss Brown presents a calendar to Judge Lake as evidence, emphasizing the timeline discrepancies around the birth of Mariah. Miss Brown notes that her cousin, presumably Mr. Travis, was away in December, but they learned about the pregnancy in early March, with Mariah being born in October. Counting back 10 months from the birth would imply a discrepancy.
You count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That'd be 11 months.
Might as well be a year.
Which means the
You need to
window
mind your
of
business, baby. You need to find you something to do and talk about besides me and my relationship, honey.
You've been pregnant a year though, almost a year.
It just don't add up. It don't add up.
A whole year?
Whatever, Tierra.
I thought 9 months.
Judge Lake questions Miss McNair about the timeline of conception, given that Mr. Travis was away in January, which aligns with the window of conception for an October 3rd birth. Miss Brown is adamant that Mariah isn't Mr. Travis's child. Miss McNair counters by questioning Miss Brown's intentions and asserts she knows the identity of her child's father.
Mr. Travis, you are not the father.
I'm sorry.
Miss McKinney is in court to prove to her husband that he is the biological father of their 11-month-old daughter, Mariah. Brown doubts his paternity after discovering a sex tape of his wife with another man and believes the other man is the father. Miss McKinney feels that looks are irrelevant in determining paternity, emphasizing the importance of DNA evidence.
Ms. McKinney, tell us why this court date is so important to you.
He's denying the fact that that's his daughter, and it's not about looks, it's about DNA. And I'm here today to prove and show that he is the father of Amira Brown.
Mr. Brown discovered an explicit video on Miss McKinney's phone. He briefly watched it and, disturbed, closed it. Miss McKinney admitted to meeting the man from the video on a dating site during an off period with Mr. Brown. The court questions her about her choices.
How do you end up with another man doing a sex tape?
At the time, me and Mr. Brown was off and on.
How did you meet the other man?
I met him on a dating website. We started talking online, and then I finally met him in person, and he came to my house.
So how often were you sexually active with this man?
10 times.
Mr. Fowler met Miss McKinney on a dating site. The day they met in person, Mr. Brown was present, but they were not together. Fowler and McKinney began a sexual relationship. He believed she had ended her relationship with Mr. Brown. The timeline indicates they had an affair for almost a year.
So you started having unprotected sex with Miss McKinney.
Yes.
And you all had sex all of 2016.
Correct.
When did you find out she was pregnant?
Well, me and Miss McKinney met up, and she told me she was pregnant in June of 2017.
Mr. Brown and Miss McKinney were intimate around April and May of 2017, and Mariah was born in April of 2018 due to complications, although her original due date was April 23, 2018. Mr. Brown found out Miss McKinney was pregnant in July.
When you found out, did you say, oh, I'm so excited, or did you say, is this my child?
First, I was like, oh yeah, I'm excited. And then when we went to the hospital back in September, they would say she was 11 weeks pregnant. And then when they told her the due date.
It was 12 weeks.
Yeah, 12 weeks. 12 weeks pregnant, actually. She said it was complicated. I just felt like something wasn't right.
When McKinney was given the due date of April 23rd for Mariah's birth, Mr. Brown felt something was off about the pregnancy. When she told him she was pregnant, he was aware she had been intimate with another man. At Mariah's birth, Mr. Brown was present but did not sign the birth certificate because he believed Mariah didn't resemble him.
Mr. Fowler, you are not the father.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown, you are not the father.
A man fathered two sons from different women, but credited them with the same name. See, in this case, Mr. Macon dragged the defendant to the court, saying that she was trying to pin her baby boy on him, and he has concrete evidence to prove his testimony. Let's watch.
You claim you can prove he got you pregnant at the same time, and now you both have 2-year-old children named Stephen Macon Jr.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Macon, you claim to have concrete evidence that will prove to the court there's no possibility that you could be Miss Puckett's child's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So the trial began with the man's suspicion. He told the court that the plaintiff has multiple kids from multiple fathers. Huh. After this case, maybe there will be more potential fathers in this run. But anyway, let's determine if his evidence was really concrete or if it was just a sham show.
She got 5 kids by 5 different baby daddies.
And you could be the 6th.
No, I ain't. We ain't have sex till like 3 months after. I wouldn't even have sex with her. 3 weeks after I met her, she got my name tattooed on her neck.
You got his name tattooed on your neck 3 weeks after
we ain't
you
even
met
had
him?
sex yet.
No.
Oops. Folks, a double relationship can cause double trouble. Even though Mr. Macon was busy with 2 women at one time, he did not let anyone catch him red-handed. I guess he was an expert at playing safe.
We was dating. He was treating me real good. He buy me stuff. He give me money when I needed it. If I needed anything, my kids anything, he'd do for them. When I was pregnant, he was rubbing on my belly like he was happy and he was concerned about it. And I have a picture of him rubbing on my belly when I was about 7 months.
Let me see that picture. Jerome, will you hand it to me, please? Mr. Macon, are those your hands and your jacket?
Yeah.
However, things were quite serious because now there was a baby in question. And did it change anything? Not at all, as Daddy was still clowning and asserted that he was trapped by baby mama. However, Judge Lauren did not buy that at all and thrashed him like this.
Man, I felt like it was too easy. You trying to throw it at me. Okay,
well, you caught it. You had sex with her. I couldn't imagine. Giving someone their father's name is about creating lineage, line.
Right.
Not this way. Not 2, right?
Right.
So now this is serious.
Here comes the plot twist. Miss Puckett bolted out of the blue the plans of Mr. Macon about moving together as a couple. And to prove it, she had some solid proof. Huh. You know what, folks? Screenshots never lie.
If it was his, it come out to be his, and we was gonna make love to the sunrise.
Right, I said that.
So you have evidence of that?
I have one of the evidence.
Jerome, will you please hand that to me, please? If he is, like I said, I'll apologize to him. I'll come get him and whatever else needed, and I'll apologize to you, and we can blank till the sun comes up.
Further, it was revealed that the alleged father was there for the birth and even signed the birth certificate. This time, even Mommy came prepared with concrete proof. So, with the procession, things started drowning Baby Daddy, but he was still confident in his defensive drama like this.
He came in and he was looking at the baby, playing with my son. He said, so what you naming him? I said, I'm naming him after my brother. I said, because that's what my grandma want me to do. No, you're not. You're not naming him that. You're not naming him that. You're naming
left.
with somebody talking to
I don't even think it was 10 minutes. I looked at the baby. I said, look here, I got to go. I got some things I got to do, and I left.
Well, that doesn't even sound right.
Seriously, that's exactly what happened.
Finally, Miss Glover was summoned to add some sense, but instead, she added fuel. As the woman testified that one of her acquaintances dropped a bombshell about Mr. Macon's adultery on her, and she tried to approach Miss Puckett, she locked the door in her face.
Steve's phone is ringing. So I'm like, who's that on the phone? He's like, oh, it's somebody playing on the phone. Let me answer that for y'all in the plan. Hello, who's this? She's like, my name is so-and-so. Your man, Steven, is sleeping with her. I said, open the door. Next thing I know, I click, click, the lock, she didn't hit the lock. She got smart.
Were you there the day she knocked on the door?
Yes, I was there. And the way she was doing, boom, boom, boom.
I sure was.
As it was clear that Miss Glover was eager to take revenge on the plaintiff, she testified mean and offensive things. But Judge Lake sensed her intentions, so she articulated some vehement things for good.
She wouldn't have been prompted to fall in love enough to do something as silly as put his name on the back of her neck if he wasn't with her. From hearing Mr. Macon's testimony, he does not help it any. You just right in the middle with your hands in your pocket. You didn't have anything to do with it when you got everything to do with it and everybody got your name.
However, it was evident both parties were busy proving the other wrong, and nothing was helping in this jumble. Despite these, Mr. Macon was surely the rabble-rouse in this. Now, it was time to get results.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Macon Sr., you are his father.
You sent her that text message talking about some that's your baby, that y'all gonna have sex on into the sunlight. Well, sunlight time, baby. I'll holler.
Infidelity is the relationship crusher, and when things like this happen, probably you end up in paternity court. Ms. Humphreys rolled in the court to prove that Mr. Moosley was the biological father of her son. Likewise, the defendant urged baby mama to aim her arrow of fatherhood at her ex, whose relationship is in turmoil as a result of her accusations.
Ms. Humphreys, you are in court to prove that Mr. Mosley fathered your 2-month-old son, Tyler, while he was separated from the mother of his children. Mr. Mosley, you say she's going after the wrong man and that she should be pointing her paternity finger at her ex-boyfriend, Mr. Cook, because he's the baby's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, the trial with baby mama's confession of being intimate with both men at the conceiving point. The mother was convinced that the defendant was the biological father. However, Daddy's testimony will befuddle you.
When I got conceived, we were sexual. That was like the end of August, beginning of September.
Were you having sex with anyone else during that time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was that sex also unprotected?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Mosley, do the dates add up in your mind as she says she was intimate with you at the end of August?
Your Honor, I'm not gonna lie to you. I wasn't even paying attention. I was there for the sex.
However, the potential father explained his doubts by saying that he can only father light-skinned babies, and the plaintiff's baby did not possess any features similar to him. Man, this is not helping at all, right, folks? As you know, babies come in all shapes and colors.
I got light skin. Y'all see this? I got
it don't matter.
You're saying that your children look like you. You don't look anything like Tyler.
No, I don't. I mean, look at my children. They got my same chin. They got the big cheeks like me. Not only that, they was by the same woman and they still don't look like her.
And that leads you to doubt.
Yes.
Up next, Mr. Moosley tried his best to frame his baby mama. The guy played the blame game and asserted that nothing wrong would have happened if she had not left him alone. Oh my, this is what we call a blame shifter. Boy, you better stop beating around the bush.
All I can say is this, I feel like it's her fault too, Your Honor. She should never broke up with me. If she never broke up with me, I would never did what I did.
Also, it's Ms. Robinson's fault.
Hey.
Ms. Robinson, this is all on you. So Mr. Mosley says this is all your fault. This would not be happening if you had not left him, so you can blame yourself.
No.
So, it was time to hear from Miss Robinson. She said that what this court has seen was just the trailer that this licentious story had given her. because lustful individuals have somehow pulled her into their disaster.
This is his fault and this is her fault. And my thing is this, he's been doing things with women. This is the pinch of it. Out of all the people, Your Honor, that he messes with, she contacted me. She left me a message on Facebook. Tell my lying baby daddy what your lying behind. You brought me into this. I had nothing to do with what y'all had going on.
Further, it was revealed that the plaintiff was playing a game of paternity with both men because she posted on Facebook that Mosley was not the father of her baby son. However, the baby knew how to blow it all.
She plays both men. That's what she's doing.
Okay.
She's playing both sides.
Why is this your business?
She's telling one man he's the father, then she's telling him a week ago on Facebook that James is not the father.
Because you keep doing this. Stop doing this. Stop trying to be all up in my business.
You put me
Tyler
in
don't belong to you.
On that.
Even though the promiscuity of Miss Humphrey and Mr. Mosley was at its peak, and they already had one baby in question, still they were messing around with each other. Oh my, somebody please stop them, or they're gonna have to roll up in here again.
What is the nature of your relationship with Mr. Mosley now?
We still sexual. We friends.
I can see by the look on your face that she's telling the truth.
She's telling the truth.
So you still have sex with Miss Humphrey?
And still going to continue to once this is done.
Yes.
See? Yes. Drama.
No, it's the truth.
Nevertheless, the defendant confessed his love for Miss Robinson, but it got drifted when he let another woman in. That seems defensive, huh? Well, don't worry, baby mama cut his chase off like this.
I love Tamika, all right? I'm not in love with her. I used to be in love with her, but like, I kind of drifted off, you know what I'm saying? I never had a father in my life to actually teach me certain things, and I know I shouldn't put this in the picture. You know, my mother taught me characteristics of a man. She never taught me how to be a man.
You making babies, and then you denying, and you don't want to take care of the ones you have. That's the thing.
Finally, Judge Lake summoned the other potential dad to clear up this paternity mishmash. He declared that Miss Humphrey and Mr. Mosley were perfect deluders for each other, and was sure of not fathering the plaintiff's son like this.
To tell you the truth, I do not know. I mean, I would love to be his father, but them two, they both liars.
Yes.
They perfect for each other.
Especially
him. I went to take the DNA test. I see him, and he told me him and Shanita haven't been having sex in months. But I just heard y'all say y'all having sex.
Here comes the spoiler alert. The baby mama was caught again. As it slipped, she was playing the part on both sides of this paternity question. Her mastery of swindling has been further revealed by more revelations.
Miss Humphreys, are you telling him that he's the child's father? And you're telling Mr. Mosley he's the child's father. Why is that your approach?
Because I was having unprotected sex with Mr. Cook and I was having unprotected sex with Mr. Moley.
But you didn't tell other one was a possibility.
I did.
It was evident both parties were lying and their partners were suffering due to their mendacious nature. So, the only feasible way to solve this paternity riddle was to know what the DNA envelope is holding.
It has been determined by this court. His biological father is Mr. Cook.
Good.
Congratulations, Mr. Cook.
Mr. Montgomery stepped up in the court where a paternity nuisance smote him. He claimed that Miss Parker led him to believe that baby Timothy was his biological son, and she even allowed him to name the baby. However, when the defendant's ex-lover returned, she changed her mind.
Mr. Montgomery, you say Miss Parker led you to believe you fathered her 3-month-old son, Timothy Montgomery, but now Miss Parker says you're not the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Parker, you claim to be 100% positive that Mr. Montgomery is not your son's biological father because your fiance, Mr. Lanou, is.
Yes, Your Honor.
Even though the baby was named after the plaintiff's deceased father, it did not change the fact that baby mama was entertaining 2 guys, and this brought them to this scuzzy like this.
Ms. Parker, why would you allow him to do all of these things? Sign the birth certificate? At that time, did you not believe he was Timothy's
I thought he was the father because he looked just like Mark in the ultrasounds, and I believed that he was the father.
Like
I had sex with both of them around the same time and the same day.
It was revealed that the defendant's pregnancy weirded out her husband, who diverted his attention to video games. This opened the door of swindling for baby mama, and such revelations led to the burst of bickering in the courtroom.
A mutual friend of mine and hers introduced us. In the meantime, we're finding out that he's talking to her friends, talking to other women.
Right, but you prying on a woman who's with another man, right?
If you would have stepped up, been there, and actually satisfied her needs, you couldn't have.
Let's get some order.
This is a grown folks talk right here.
In the course of the trial, it was revealed that she had gotten back together with her lover, and they got intimate at her husband's place. Oh man, who even thinks of doing this nasty thing?
The first time he had left was the first time me and her met. Throughout the whole time, even told him that we were sleeping together after he came back.
Yeah, he did.
He used to go upstairs to shower, and I'm over there having sex with her downstairs or the same chair he's sitting in there playing Xbox.
The infidelity was kept a secret despite the arrival of a child. However, when the mother shared the shocking information about another possible father being involved, things took a wishy-washy turn.
I told him in the
3 weeks after he was born?
No,
Yep. But this is because during that time, Your Honor, that he had threatened to take him.
The first time she was able to have sex after the baby was born, she waited until after we were done to sit there and tell
I
me,
had sex
you know,
before I had sex
he's,
with you.
you know, I don't think you're the father. I think, you know, Luke's the father.
However, Mr. Montgomery did not let Miss Parker's promiscuity get in the way, and he developed a fatherly bond with the baby boy. But as you know, when the conniving person interrupts, things fall apart like that.
She called me, video Facebook chatted me on Father's Day to sit there because she goes, oh, well, on the off chance that, you know, you are Timothy's father. I respected that, you know, it made me feel good. You know, I got to see my son on Father's Day. This is my son, and it was dragged away from me by a conniving man who decided to sit there and come in between a relationship.
Even though the defendant was at fault, she was not ready to step back. She accused the plaintiff of being sexual with 2 women, but the man wiped all charges like this. Huh. Now, how do you defend that?
I've been there. I'm all he knows.
No, I was there.
Yes, he has.
That is my monkey man right there. I sat there and fed him bottles. I changed diapers for him. I walked him around that complex. I did one time.
One time.
I have people who live in the same complex of her to sit there and vouch that they watched me walk around with my son more than one time.
After a lot of drama, they could not agree on one point. As you know, swindling gives people a fuzzy time. So the last way to deal with this paternity mess was to get the DNA results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Montgomery, you are not the father. Mr. Lanou, you are the father.